Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to another episode of Guest of Friends. I'm your host, Sketch Williams. Today's guest is Jessi Wills, super producer extraordinaire, and she is joining me here at Geeky Teas and Games. If you want to learn more about our lovely host, head over to Geeky Teas, that's TEAS.com, for more information about what they do here in Burbank. And thank you again, Donna, for giving us a home to do these live recordings. Jessi, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so elated. Jessi, we met through mutuals doing our sketch by sketch, and we have had the blessing of having been able to work with you through them from time to time with all of our amazing cosplayers. And we have become recent enjoyers of table runners. So I would love for our audience and the audience abroad to get to know you a little bit more. And here at Guest of Friends, we always bring it back to community. And so we're gonna go on a journey. Hopefully, whatever the beginning of that journey of you finding community means, we'd love for you to share that with us. But I also want you to tell everyone at home a little bit about yourself before we get started. Who is Jessi today before we go back to Jessi at the beginning?
Yeah, I feel like community, so as a producer, I feel like the strongest producer is made stronger only by their community.
Fun.
Because our job as a producer is really to just put all the right pieces in the sandbox and then let other people play with them with supervision.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to say, because I think for a lot of people, especially, the word is content creators. I think back in the day, it was just, artists and actors who were looking for something to do. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. My journey began, I'll call it the web series boom of 2008, 9, 11-ish, whenever the Guild first came out and showed Netflix, oh, we should be scared and try to do our own thing. I remember being, when I was an actor, when I thought that was my journey and my purpose, I remember being really frustrated by the systems that existed. You have to go audition, you have to be dressing this way. I had a couple pairs of skinny jeans in my closet that I'm ashamed to admit that, I probably should have gotten rid of a couple years beforehand. But all of that was to serve other people. And I think what we've talked about a little bit before, and I would love for us to get into, is your point exactly. So many people have their village, their tribe, their folks, whatever that means to them, that believe in them and support them, or have that mutual drive to either tell stories or create art or make something that doesn't exist. For you, where do you think that began? What was the first spark in your life that said, I'm only one person, but how can I find more to help me on that? What does that mean to you?
It actually happened a lot with the web series boom, as you put it.
Okay. We're both dating ourselves.
A little bit,
fine.
but it's fine.
That's okay.
Mine's about to get worse.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I was in college,
All right.
my first class we did as sophomores is when I went to Ithaca. So when you're a sophomore, you're kind of put more into your box of where you're going to be in the industry. And I was originally a BFA, film director type, and then I wrote a thesis on the Lizzie Bennet diaries.
Oh, what fun!
Oh, I was obsessed with anything Bernie Sue, which I'll get to him later, dear friend now. At the time, I was just an obsessed fan. And I wrote a thesis about how I thought that web content and social first content was going to become more accessible, more easily able to do is a weird way to say it, but easier for smaller creators and studios to be able to make. And it didn't have to be through the systems like you were just saying. It could be creative people having those opportunities to make what they were passionate about instead of a studio telling them what they could and couldn't make.
So were you in New York at this time?
Yes. So Ithaca is in Ithaca, New York, which is 5 hours from the city.
Oh, I'm familiar. I went to school in Long Island myself.
Oh, so you know.
I unfortunately know. And it's funny that you mentioned Bernie Sue, because I ran into Bernie a lot when we were doing, what was it? The Television Web Series Association. They were trying to be the Emmys for web series a year after web series became a thing. And they're someone's got to grab these horns. And needless to say, I don't know, do they still do the awards? I think they did them for 5, 6 years?
Yeah, they did them for a while, and then I'm sure there's a web version or something at this point.
I think it's just the Webbies now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're related, but I remember going into a lot of those rooms myself when I was when I had my little web series about my talking puppet friend, and I was just trying to like be that art kid where I wanted to like just make this thing and like share that and like show it, but I'm in a room full of a bunch of marketing people who are like, okay, but how are we going to sell this? What's your product placement plan? Like, what's the long term? It's like, the long term is to do more of this. Like, that's always been like my dream, but I think for a lot of people, they kind of get a little scared by that commercial part. But tell us more. You began doing what with that spark in you?
Yeah, so at the time, my other film friends and I kind of formed like a fake production company, and we started using the school a little bit, and we had everyone sign up for the thesis class, and every single one of us made a student film. And Ithaca now has a rule. You can't produce more than 4 films in a semester. You can work on other people's films and work together and collaborate, but you can't be the producer of 4, because I did 15 in one semester.
Okay.
And I got in trouble.
Oh, you got in trouble for producing too much.
I did 15 student films, well, because we had all their gear signed out.
I see. You were draining resources.
Yeah, a little bit. But everyone had a great thesis. If it helps, everyone got the class credit they needed.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like you were enabling, but I also can see why maybe certain institutions might find that threatening, because you're also, and this is the thing I think about artists that I don't, and I say artist in a wide scope: performance, visual, dance, writing,
spreadsheet.
Right? Yeah. No, trust me, there is an art behind being organized, as anyone on art production can attest. And I think for anyone who excels at that, no pun, who also is like willing to take on that challenge and produce 15 things in a 3 to 4 month span. Look, we've all been young and dumb once, and we've all had energy and drive, and I'm grateful we're both still alive to be able to tell those stories.
I was 19, don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't. If you're young and you're out there and you're listening, you don't have to overperform as a producer. Save that for later, because we need you. We need you now more than ever. But my gosh, what was that like? Tell me more about. Let's talk about 19-year-old Jessi, Jess, whatever her identity was at that moment. Like, what do you think made you like want to do that many productions in that much?
So I was really lucky that I had a group of like 8 friends who all were studying different parts of film. A couple doubled up. We had a few people who were directing, a few people who were editing, a few that were cinematography. So it just made me really happy to give everyone the chance to kind of do everything. Okay. So anytime anyone came to me with like this is the film I want to do, I was like, great, give me like 3 hours, and I'd like go hide in a room and like break down the script and like who hadn't had a turn to like direct yet, or who like wanted to run a casting with the theater department and stuff like that. And we just kind of let it be in a rotation. I had no life, but it was my absolute favorite was we had one of my friends, by this time I was a senior, one of my friends had been a year or 2 behind us, and they had never directed a film yet, and like they were an AC for like everything, and they were like, yeah, I just kind of want a shot, and they said it very offhandedly, I think drunk too, like they did not want to tell me this. And so like the next day someone came to me being like, I kind of want to do this script, but it's not for a thesis class, and I was like, we're doing it. And we just put it together, and I put everything in front of him, and he panicked and cried, and it made a great project. And like that was kind of why I liked to do it, because it just kind of gave everybody these opportunities.
So there's like this sadistic need to enable people.
Yeah. My mom likes to call me like I Peter Pan and Wendy's like a huge story for me, but my mom has always called me like Wendy to the Lost Boys, because she used to come down to like the basement in like high school and middle school, and I'd have the weirdest groups of like people and friends over, just kind of like hodgepodge, like.
I'm about to say, tell us more about the Wendy era. Let's go back deeper into the prequel series.
The Wendy era is still thriving.
Okay, I'm just saying. I don't know if there's much that's changed from what we've learned about each other.
But yeah, I've just always been that person that like I like to see what'll happen when you put a lot of different personalities or people or tools or toys for the sandbox kind of in that one space. So that's just kind of always been. It was much more theater kid back in high school than film, but it was always a matter of like, let's just see what happens.
I want to go back to the toys in the toy box, because I not to paint you without your own permission, but it does. You're giving me like pusher and enabler energy in like the best possible way, and it sounds like this has been a core identity for you that clearly your mother identified with and saw. And I think the thing that I'm seeing, that I'm hearing, is that you had the blessing of being able to engage in that part of your journey from a very early age. And I think a lot of people when they get, myself included, I think a lot of people when they get like that positive reinforcement, whether it's from a parent or from a performance or from a portfolio, it's really easy to go to like an insular place. But it sounds like you were pretty good at like giving that energy out and like putting it out for people.
I've always believed I can't do anything alone, ever.
Okay.
And like my community, while it really did start in college with having those group of friends that I could provide for, it's always still felt like I'm doing a service. And I think my mom put it best once when I was like my mom knew me best obviously through the high school and college era, and she once told me that I would be like the best supervillain if I had done any of this for myself.
A lot of good producers have that energy, and the best ones try to use it for good. So I think you're on the right path.
If I was doing this stuff for me, like maybe I'd be a different person than I am. But the fact that like my goal is always to like bring other people's visions or other people's creativity out, because I do find creativity in what I get to do, but I find more like joy out of seeing everyone else kind of get to put what they want into things. So, but if I did it for me, world domination.
I mean, truly.
You can team up, Jen.
I mean, our super producer Jen is also here taking notes, and already I can see her. I can feel her plotting off camera. I know the energy she radiates when it comes to that. Yes. Well, and I think that's beautiful because one, shout out to your mom for being able.
My mom knows me.
But I think that is a thing that I look at my relationship with my mother, and I think I understand what it's like to be a lonely artist who doesn't necessarily understand how to have the language to talk about what they're doing, but they're constantly exploring, they're constantly trying to do like a self-discovery, and that can be very insular, and that can kind of like build up walls, and I think that makes it difficult for even artists who are children to parents who don't necessarily know how to engage with that. And it sounds like you had a pretty good ability with your mother to be able to communicate and recognize not just what you're able to do, but for you to be able to recognize that she sees that in you and respond to it so positively. Shout out to your mom.
My parents know me very well. I love my mom and dad so much, and I have two brothers, and they all get it and they all get me, but like it was not easy getting there.
Let's talk about that for a second. Where in the sibling lineup are you?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're our second oldest sibling on the podcast, and this is a common thread. So I think there's an Oscar in your future for going off this trend.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, right. Just more clout, but the same day. But I think tell us more about.
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit into the family, and then I wanna come back into baby super producer Jessi in high school before she gets into college again, and we talk about the 19 productions this season.
So
semester.
My parents, my mom, and I grew up in the New York suburbs.
Okay, tell us where.
Very much New City, New York, so like Rockland County.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have driven through there. I understand.
I'm very Jewish suburb where the Jewish American princess term I'm pretty sure originated there. And I did not fit in at all. And back then, my mom didn't understand why I didn't want to play that game and fit in with all the girls and do kind of what you needed to in middle school and high school to like fit in. And eventually, it was because like I always kind of knew who I was, at least back then. We'll get into that later. And I always knew who I was and was very headstrong. And I think she accepted that about me because it's not like something she got to experience when she was younger. Like when she was younger, she did, play those games and fit in, and she does not regret anything. She had a lovely childhood and life, and I love my mother and every choice she's made. Well, and it took us a lot of middle school for her and I to finally see eye to eye on the like, I don't want to wear what all the other kids wear or do what the other kids do. And then in high school, I was like running the theater and film departments, and she was like, why are you wasting your time? Not wasting, but like, why are you devoting all your time doing all that?
I think that's a good differential, because there are plenty of people, I'm sure, who can relate to that journey, who either heard, why are you wasting your time, versus, hey, why are you spending this much time? And what does that give to you? And I will say, similar story, more Protestant than Jewish, because that wasn't my side of the story. But when I grew up, it was, the culture was what we did every Sunday, and I knew from a very young age that I needed more to understand like my place. And when I found theater through a bunch of series of like discovery decisions, I had kind of like been dropped into the frying pan that was already cooking on high, and ever since then I think I've been chasing that high. Was there a frying pan moment for you in your life when you were like kind of like, well, like
I
is there a
had
clear memory?
two kind of big moments that happened where I knew film was kind of the right move. And one of those was, we had a film department in the high school, and it was more of like a news-based one. Like in your first year, you just learned what editing was. Your second year, you're like putting together stories. And by the end, we had a news channel. And instead, I kind of took it on myself to like, yeah, I was still helping with the news part, but I like did all of our senior video myself, and I would like help the teacher kind of run a lot of the projects.
You're already helping the teachers.
Yeah, it was a problem.
Okay.
And then they asked me at one point, they were like, well, do you want to do a longer news story? So I did a documentary on, our theater program was doing their first ever student run production. So I did a documentary on it. And then they ended up entering it in the Rockland Community College's film award or film,
So a
ceremony.
documentary about a high school student production is now entered into a film festival for a college.
Yeah, for the community college.
Love that.
And I won, which was crazy because I was like, I think one of two
How
high
old were you?
schoolers. I was a sophomore in high school.
So you were what,
maybe
like
a
15,
junior.
16?
Yeah.
Did you even drive at this point?
No. And I remember going with my dad, and I was getting up. They made me get up to get the award, and I remember nothing after that moment. I like stood up to do it, and he filmed it, thank God. And I got up, and he was like, don't forget to think this, this, and this. And then I went up and just repeated what he said to me, and then went back, and then he was like, why did you do that? I don't know. I have not gotten better at public speaking. But that was one of my two big ones. And the other one was also involving my dad. I've only ever seen him like cry twice in my life. Both my fault. And the first one was, I showed him like something I just like edited of my friend and I making like a stupid video in the woods. But I was like playing with After Effects and doing the whole thing, and I showed him it, and he like teared up, and I was like, I thought I like upset him. I was like, what is wrong? But that moment of approval was like, he probably doesn't even remember this, but I still think about that all the time.
To go on a journey of making dumb videos with your friends, my best friends, who weren't even in the theater department except for one of them, it was me, Sarah, Rachel, and her brother Adam, and then a bunch of our Hollywood friends. We would make like dumb videos in the woods, and I only recently found out from them that they now have their own families. Rachel's got like 7 kids, but she and Sarah will go hang out at her parents' house like once every couple of months, and they'll somehow rewatch the old VHSs we made. Yeah, it's still on VHS.
No, I have mine, yeah.
I'm gonna say, have you even digitized them yet?
So by that point, those were digital, but I had a Barbie video camera in elementary school that I still have those VHS tapes. My mom has a box, and she doesn't let anyone touch them. They're like
That's the archives.
Yeah, I have like 3 tapes. I used to make like, again, kindergarten, like elementary school should not have been doing this, but I made like cooking shows with my mom and grandma.
Wait, so you're even making stuff in kindergarten?
I really like film.
I love this for you. I can't wait to talk. We're going to go back more into this, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk maybe a little bit more about...
And I have my Bernie Sue era still to talk about.
Okay, yeah, we got so much to talk about, and we'll figure that out right after the break, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Hey there, guys, gals, and online pals. Join us Thursday, August 7th at 7:30 p.m. at Geeky Teas on Alameda Avenue in Burbank, California for our Decades of Fashion live fashion show and figure draw. Make sure to visit our pop-up fashion history museum and learn about the historic significance of all of the fashion displayed on our runway stage through the decades as Sketch by Sketch presents a live fashion show and figure drawing event celebrating the history of 20th century fashion in partnership with our friends at Dress Up Studio in Glendale, California. So make sure to get your tickets now for Decades of Fashion. Head on over to the Nest of Friends website at nestoffriends.org and join us again at 7:30 p.m. August 7th, Thursday at Geeky Teas in Burbank, California for a one-of-a-kind fashion show runway figure draw.
Hey there, guys, gals, and non-blind pals. We are back from our break with our conversation with Jessi Wills. Jessi, we definitely covered a wide swath of early years. We started in college, we went back to high school, we we figured out what was going on with you and Mom and how you guys were like kind of building that trust into each other and building in a lot of, honestly, a lot of really good support that I think kind of, from what it sounds like, has informed how you have gone about creating community. I do want to skip ahead a little bit.
Yes.
Just because I'm sure any artistic kid could talk for eons about.
I could talk about my parental trauma
Look,
yeah.
Look, we'll come back and we'll do that another time.
Who I love now.
Exactly.
I've
Let's
always
emphasize
loved.
that.
Hold on.
We both love our parents. We
Have
all love
always
our
loved.
parents. They're great.
And
They're
get
fantastic.
along great now. Please continue.
I love this. But I want to talk a little bit more about like I like to say, if that was like your first Poke evolution, what did you, when you went from, Charizard to Charmander or vice versa, what was that second evolution for you?
We were off camera talking about this a little bit, but I definitely, like I was saying about me and my mom, like I very much knew who I was in high school, middle school, elementary school, and then I moved out to LA because that's what you do when you are a film kid. And
What time was this on the calendar?
it was 2017.
Okay.
Ooh. I moved out here in 2017, and it was my final semester of college. I did it abroad. That way I could still have the safety net of, like, I'm with my school.
So LA was the abroad?
LA was my abroad, and my brother did, like, Barcelona, and I did Los Angeles. Which was, it's fine.
Oh, gosh.
So I was out here, and what was nice was that I was able to, like, find my apartment before the rest of my, like, graduating class, and, like, I actually helped a lot of my graduating class move to LA, but during that time, I found myself kind of losing who I was because I was creating for everyone. I was an intern, or I was a producer's assistant, and I was doing a lot more creating for others and less building up community. But I still was obsessed with digital first. I still loved, like we were talking about, the Bernie Sue era of, like, Emma Approved and Lizzie Bennett Diaries. And I randomly messaged Bernie Sue on Facebook because they had posted on the Pemberley Digital page that they were looking to hire a producer.
Wild.
And I just kind of, like, went for it. And at that time, I was working I was freelance for MGM.
Okay.
They had a startup within MGM called Lightworkers, which was their BuzzFeed. But it was Christian BuzzFeed. And I was the diversity hire of one of two Jews.
Yep. Having recovered from my Christian trauma, I'm sorry, and also I get why they did that.
Bonus content, remind me to tell you the story of how the lights turned on for God once.
Oh.
If you write that down, I will promise I will tell it.
We'll do that after Act 2. So you came out here as your study abroad.
Yes.
You kind of became a lighthouse, it sounds like, for people you knew in college who were also
I got to
getting
move a lot of
started
people
out
out
here,
here, which was very nice.
You also, which seems to already be a through line in your journey, it sounds like, as a friend, it sounds like you have a problem, Jessi.
I do.
Yeah, you're addicted to enabling.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad that acceptance is the first step of.
Oh yeah, no, there should be an anonymous.
The problem is, everyone, you're so bright because people are looking for you that even when you DM someone like Bernie Sue, hi Bernie, I find it fascinating that you obviously have this ability to not just be seen by, like, the people that are around you, but you obviously radiate something that people who just meet you can kind of see at the same time. Like I mean, that's a superpower. Like, to be able to be that comfortable in who you are from such a young age.
Well, like I said, I definitely lost myself in this era a little bit, which we'll, like, get to, but I never lost confidence in, like, what I do. I know what I bring to others, at least.
Okay.
And I know that, like, my superpower is helping people to create what they want.
So when did you recognize that you were losing yourself? We can get into that.
A little bit of since I brought everyone out here, I almost brought my safety net here by accident.
Okay.
And I found that, like, I had a breakup, and I didn't walk away, but people slowly start, finding other places to live, finding relationships, jobs. So eventually, you're not really in that same situation you were in with, like, your friend group and stuff. And I hadn't really made myself a nest to fall in after that happened. Like, I watched everyone kind of leave, and then when the breakup happened, I was like, not fighting to keep my place in that friend group. I kind of almost let him take that space, which I'm retrospectively, like, I still am very close with a lot of those people. One of my best friends was my roommate at the time from college, and she's one of those people that her boyfriend was a year below us. He graduated. She moved back to the other coast to be with him. So none of it was ever like hard feelings. The people who chose his side, the people who were closer with him, still I hear from them on like birthdays and stuff like that. But you know, you kind of lose that like family you built for yourself sometimes.
Well, you all grow up. I think there's a thing that we recognize. I mean, having just turned 40, I can look back at going through this current, I call it my reparenting era, because, you know, being childless, you got to put that energy into something. But there's also a lot of reflection as to what you were like and the life that you have had, the eras that you've gone through. I think hearing what you're saying, I think that's kind of common with a lot of people, especially when you make such bold choices, take such bold actions, and then you see consequences isn't the right word, but you see
where that's led you almost.
Yeah, the return on the investment, if you want to use another language about it.
What chapter you landed on in the Choose Your Own Adventure.
There we are.
Yeah.
There, and I think to be able to, again, what I'm recognizing in you is your ability to self-reflect and kind of like understand where you are, not just where you've gone, but how to make those next decisions forward from there. And going through something so like surmountable but still such a heavy load is a lot. And for a lot of people, myself included in those areas, it can be debilitating when you don't have a guiding light.
Yeah.
And especially when you're your own guiding light, because it can be really hard to see what you're doing, especially when you're looking for that validation, for lack of a better term, in the community around you. But again, you brought so many people from your life out here. You use that and use those connections to forge stronger bonds, so that when things did kind of grow in the other directions and people from these eras start to go on their own journeys, and you start to recognize, oh, who is Jessi now? Like, what was that like at this point for you?
Well, I lost her for a while because when the people I was creating for weren't there anymore, I realized I wasn't creating for myself then. And it happened again with, and I won't say names, but it happened again a little bit more recently, still in that era, where I started working on somebody else's YouTube channel for them and with them and other people's projects. And it was the same thing. And it turned into, we weren't doing anything I wanted anymore, which, yeah, you know, when you're creating for somebody else's vision or thing, you can kind of find yourself disappearing into it. And it became less, right? And like a lot of the jobs I've had, like, I don't care about what the end goal content is, but I've still been creating with them and like myself. And then these projects in this era, it wasn't, I loved what we were outputting. That was the worst part, is I actually did love the content, but I still wasn't creating for me. I was solely living, almost, it felt like, for other people.
Right.
And it came at a bad time, because it was also right when I had lost my safety net. I had found myself losing myself in that, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So a lot of that all kind of drained away from me. But it came after such like a high, because right before all that like low was the Bernie email when I got to interview to work on He Revived Emma Approved, which was one of the websites, like web shows that I literally wrote a college essay about. And he actually, I was talking about this the other day. He had the interview with me, and I told him not to hire me.
Okay, that's a bold choice.
He was looking for two situations, either one person who could do like these two different jobs, or two people, one person who would be there full time and one who wouldn't. And at the time, I was like, if you hire the full-time person, I'm not that person. I don't want to leave MGM. And somehow me telling him don't hire me for this turned into him deciding to do the other option of hiring me and then this other person, Rachel, who I loved. I ended up being like very close friends with Rachel, and we were the co-producers instead. And then she was also assisting on a secondary project. But then I got to do like what was literally my dream in college, which was produce the revival of a web show that taught me like that people could create. And it was beautiful and amazing, and I went on to work on many projects with Bernie. He's actually who I'm seeing this weekend at VidCon. Shout out to VidCon.
Not a sponsor, but grateful
not
for
a sponsor. And Bernie Sue is also not a sponsor,
No.
but so after coming off of this high and like finding my own creativity again, that project ended, and I was like, crap, I'm producing for other people again. And that's also when people started to, leave, and when I got involved with, like, the wrong creator. And then with COVID, who was anybody in COVID?
Well, and I think you've hit a pretty pivotal point for our generation of creators, where so many of us, wherever we were, whether we felt stuck or lost, I think I can say this for myself. I had, right before before my producer Jen and I had gotten married, we were, kind of at a crossroads with entertainment. We were still like producing on the side, but we thought, at least for myself, I thought acting was my path. And it wasn't until the year before we got married, which was 2018, that I was like, I need to stop auditioning because it's taking away time and I have to work to, like, save up for the wedding. And then by the time we came back from the honeymoon, I had so much space left for myself that I didn't know what to do with. And the last thing I wanted to do was go back to audition for other people. And I still was in that time frame where I was trying to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do? What am I trying to figure out? But I still had bills to pay. So I was full-time stagehanding, and I had thought about going on my path to joining Local 1, and I had begun my first year of my apprenticeship, which is a 3-year apprenticeship, in 2019. Needless to say, I think like so many other people, and I'm sure this is true for everyone who was out here working in Hollywood, like everything just dead stopped. And as much as like it was for the era during the wedding where I had to put so much energy elsewhere, now I don't even have anywhere to put that elsewhere energy. And it became, for the first time, for a lot of reasons, it was the first time that we were spending 3 meals a day together. It was the first time that there was so much space in the day to like be with yourself. And for a lot of my like darker moments, it became like a huge swath of disassociation before I could even like give my brain and my heart the space to like figure out what to do. And that's when I started like drawing for myself more than I ever had again. That's when an opportunity to work on some animation projects that were actually out here began for myself. And I want to hear more about, like, for you and for I'm sure people out there too want to know, like, what was that period like for you after doing all this work, being this beacon, this light for other people, kind of getting lost in producing stuff for other folk? How did you like kind of come out of that?
Yeah,
Pause for 1 second. Be conscious you're pounding the table when you're talking.
Oh, okay.
So just try not to put your arms on the table
My
at
bad.
all.
That's a good call.
I know if you do, you will slam the table. So
That's a mean note. Yes.
Me slowly, like,
yes.
Both of us.
You're not in trouble.
No, it's a sketch note.
It is a sketch note.
Don't give him a cup.
Don't. Oh yeah. What do
Never
I do?
give
You
him a
need to
cup.
get
what do I do with my hands?
No, he goes like this every time he puts it down. Slam, and I'm like, you can't do that. So don't do that with your hands either. Probably just keep them in your lap if you're
Excellent.
not gesturing with them.
Thank you for that.
But if you can remember what you asked,
Yes.
you can just
I'll
ahead
go
and
back to it and
re-ask
lead you
the
into it.
question
Yeah.
when you're ready. Go.
I think it's fair to say that COVID and pandemic lockdown for everybody gave us all space we didn't have before. And I think for creatives who have a great tendency, good or bad, to get lost in their work, to get maybe sucked into like other passions that aren't necessarily their own, but they tell themselves or convince themselves it is aligned. And then, you have this full stop on life. And for the first time, what do you do with this energy? Like, who are we?
Yeah.
What was that like for Jessi during lockdown?
I was lucky because both my jobs continued through most of lockdown.
You are.
So I was still with MGM half part-time, and I was with a new show that Bernie was producing called Artificial.
Oh,
and
yeah.
at that point we were at season 3 and 4, which I was lucky enough to be a producer at that point.
Oh,
So I was a coordinator for the early ones because I was doing the other show.
Mm.
So I was just helping, and then as that show continued, I was finally a producer by that point. And it was great. It was a lot of, living with your computer and a lot of balancing the 2 different shows, which was weird for me. With MGM at that point, we were just doing a live devotional once a week.
A live devotional.
Still Christian BuzzFeed.
Understood.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
with
clarification.
Lightworkers and MGM Mentor Project. Who I still love and cherish everyone from that team. It was just very funny that I was like the one Jewish girl who did not understand half the references. But
Having, again, stagehand from New York, one of
Yeah.
my prominent regular works was I worked at the Pierre Hotel, which if you're from New York and you're Jewish, you know it's like the place to have your wedding or your mitzvah. And I
went to a few there.
We probably ran into each other. The amount of like hedonistic, like Gentile energy I brought to making sure the chuppah was lit correctly for all these baby stagehands. I was just like, I don't know why I dedicated brain space to this, but we all have to pay rent. And I will say this, many beautiful weddings were accomplished because of that lighting. So I think it's fascinating how people, especially for creatives who grew up in religious households, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Methodist, whether you're Muslim, I think it's fascinating when you are put into these other spaces, these other worship spaces, because I mean someone has to bring that outside perspective sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's good that people see that value in you, and you clearly did well at it for doing it for so long.
No, they were all very, very kind about, not that religion came up as often as you would think.
No.
But for holidays, like it was an all-female office. It was all like...
That's refreshing.
It was the most supportive place I've ever been in my entire life.
That says a lot.
Day. I've emailed a lot of these women recently just catching up, and I just like... They're all wonderful people still.
That's great to hear.
But yeah, for holidays, everyone would do like gift exchanges, and we would do like a holiday, since we were such a small team within MGM, we got to do like a wine safari for Christmas. Like we would do things, and I, for every holiday, brought like a how to play dreidel card, and I gave everyone like dreidels and gelt. Like
that.
I loved them. One
of the last jobs I had out here, actually, they were so Christian, and I was so atheist, but I didn't bring it up. But they would come up and it's like, oh, hey, why weren't you at the Christmas party? It's like, that's not my holiday. And so they thought by disassociation that I was Jewish. So they would ask me, hey, we want to have like a Seder. I'm like, okay, great. You should do that.
That's cool.
And they're like, do you want to look over this menu to make sure we get the right stuff? I'm like, I mean, in hindsight, I've been to a few. I know a good latke. I understand you need the right herring. So I just went along with it to see how far they would go. And I'd be like, oh, no, you want to make sure these are crispy, and you want to make sure this is like, no cinnamon in this applesauce, please.
That's so funny.
That was right here.
We did Seder at one of the artificial show was in a house. Like the set was a house, so it was a kitchen. And I brought like a thing of matzo ball soup and like a chicken, like I made like a mini Seder during a production day. Like everyone just kind of left the kitchen was like downstairs. Everyone just left me alone for the day.
How did that feel for you?
It was great. I was just hanging out and cooking. Like,
that's awesome.
One of my like Jewish coworkers was like, "Can you marry me?" And I was like, "No." But so I had a very supportive group from both Lightworkers and Bernie's team at Artificial, and obviously when you close the laptop, you start to feel like alone again and stuff like that. And I felt myself not doing as good a job as I like thought I could, just by not having that sense of like the community being there anymore.
Because there's that external validation.
Yeah, I went from bringing dreidels and matzo ball soup places to like closing my computer at the end of the day and being like, okay, now what?
Yeah, I'm still in my pajamas.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do now, but I have the same carpal tunnel from typing all day, and I don't want to be on a computer.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And I think, we've talked so much. I think let's take our second break, and then we're going to talk about post-COVID, Jess, to like current era and what that's been like. So, guys, gals, non-binary pals, nesties, one and all, we will be right back with Jessi Wills right after this brief break.
Hey Nesties, we've got another one-of-a-kind figure drawing party brought to you by Nest of Friends. We are presenting Sketch by Sketch's Neon Dream, a cyberpunk figure drawing party. Come check out Michelle Wynn Bradley as she puts on one heck of a figure modeling display for all of our artists and you at 8 p.m. Friday, July 18th at the Lawless Brewing Company in North Hollywood. Come check it out. Make sure to get your tickets at nestoffriends.org. If you need more info or you want to check out more stuff, make sure to see our entire program lineup on the website. And don't be afraid to donate or gift a ticket. Check out the payment options when it links you to the Eventbrite before you check out to see how you can help support our community with more awesome engagement and community building by gifting and donating and supporting your favorite nonprofit through events just like Neon Dream. All right, everyone, back to the podcast.
Hi there again, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the third act of our conversation with super hair-conditioned Jessi Wills. We were just talking about shampoos and conditioners off camera, and I see our producer being mad at me for brushing my hair just now. So
that's for the bonus content.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to our Substack if you want to see what conditioners we want sponsoring us. But Jessi, I want to get back to your journey. We just in your saga, we have just kind of gone through lockdown. To set us up more, I feel like after the world has figured out what the current normal is, when we're all vaccinated, we're all like out, we're trying to like reopen and get back into the world, to the present. Like, what was that like for Jessi? And we've talked a lot about like the people who have like not been the community we needed, despite being the people that were around us. I think from what I've learned about you, you have a pretty strong and really loving and supportive community now, and I definitely want to talk about table runners. What was it like going from lockdown to now this current era of like coming back to YouTube and like doing table runners specifically?
Yeah, so our last arc was literally my lowest point, where I felt I had lost the community I built. I was losing both the jobs that I had loved, and then I started posting on TikTok.
Oh.
I started finally letting myself be creative for myself. I started cosplaying and Disney bounding, which I'd always done on my own on Instagram in much smaller, less public ways.
Can I pause for a second?
Please.
Please, because Disney bounding, I know it's been around for a minute. Could you please give us a brief definition for anyone who may not have a concept of what Disney bounding versus cosplaying might be?
Yes. So Disney bounding, there are rules at Disney and Disneyland where you cannot wear costumes to the park. But what you can do is wear outfits inspired by characters by block coloring and specific accessories. So for example, if you're doing Alice in Wonderland, a blue dress that is not a costume dress with some kind of white apron type accessory, whether that be a crossbody bag or whatever you do so choose, and black shoes and maybe like some form of like bunny necklace. That is now an Alice Disney bound, instead of dressing up exactly like the character and doing meet and greets to get kicked out.
That was an excellent 1-minute TikTok you just gave us. Thank you for it.
Check out Table Runners Disney bounding at Dapper Day. I'm kidding. Please don't plug that. That came out so quick. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's having gone to both Disney World and Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea and seeing. Oh, you're gonna love it. Bonus content. We'll talk about our time. But I will say, that is such an interesting community, because a lot of our cosplayers at Sketch by Sketch also Disney bound, and I think it's been really fun to like watch their feeds and like see the joy that they get going to the theme park, but being able to like live as much truth as they can without going full cosplay. It's a very accessible way to get into showing your creativity or love of characters without like, cosplay is an investment. Cosplay is hard. Let's talk about that, because it's not just making a pretty dress. It's not just buying a wig. It's not just getting a perfect beat. It's like, to some degree, you've got to be able to like do some like heavy craft and light carpentry in certain points. And if you're getting as advanced as anyone who does armor play, I call it, you're talking about people who are like carving evafoam, they're using harsh chemicals, they're like actually like using a heat gun and sculpting and waiting for things to cure, and the carpenter in me gets exhausted when I have to mount a cabinet. So imagining doing something that you have to wear, and then this is the thing that always kept a person with my ego that needs to be in check. As much as I would love to feel pretty or feel empowered wearing cosplay, the idea of going to a convention and being stopped every 5 seconds for people to take a picture, that feels like a huge load mentally. I mean, can you share some of your cosplay journey and what's that been like? I got very lucky where I started with like Disney bound and everything, but I did start with cosplays where I happened to already have a lot of the princess characters more accessible to me. I had friends who were party princesses. I had a very good friend at the time who was like a cosplayer, but she herself never cosplayed. She dressed other people. So I was very lucky that like I had that mini community. And during lockdown, a lot of the cosplays I were doing were smaller, more accessible ones, a lot of Broadway ones, a lot of stuff that I could put together using pieces that were already made. I can't craft. Oh, wow. I am not a crafter. But by posting that on the internet and stuff like that, I made my two best friends in like the entire world, both named Tori.
Okay.
So Tori Bagsy and Tori Renee Hatcher both came into my life right at the end of COVID, and we actually all met in person right when Disney World has started to open back up in October for they weren't doing Mickey's Halloween at the time. It was just you could go in costume because it was Halloween.
Now you said Disney World. This is in Florida?
Oh yeah, I flew to
gosh.
Florida because Tori Bagsy already lived there, and Tori Hatcher had family there, and my mom and my dad were trying out the like living in Florida versus New York, so they were there.
That's
so
a common story for New Yorkers.
And it was Boca. Yep.
Yep, understood.
So I was going to go visit Boca anyway, and I was going to take like my cousins trick-or-treating, the whole thing. So the week before, we all met in Disney World, and it was us meeting in person for the first time. But we had all been on the phone almost every day for like 2 months at that point, FaceTiming, creating content over TikTok, like duetting each other or like sending each other clips so we could edit into each other's videos, which like people weren't really doing that much of yet on TikTok. It was still a lot of like, you couldn't upload to TikTok yet. You still had to like,
How does that work?
You had to use the green screen like app inside TikTok so you could put videos behind you. So you would just like be filming your ceiling while you're probably still in costume to get like an edited video in. It's a very different app now.
Blessings.
But I do remember it was a lot of like, you know, you could only barely stitch people. Most of it was still doing the like duets where like the square would get smaller and smaller on the other side.
And to frame, from time of recording, this is what, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I guess.
Wow.
Maybe more, because this was 2021.
Okay. So it was 4 years ago.
Yeah. Weird.
But that does say a lot about how technology
Oh, yeah.
continues to advance. I mean, I remember when YouTube was only 3-minute stitches if you were lucky. Like, and now, like, between like podcast channeling and like live streaming all on a single platform, and then being able to like, even with what we do here, being able to like cross broadcast things, it's such a workload. It's so hard. And then to be able to go back to the days of like when you were like, you know, green screen like hack stitching on TikTok. I mean, it is funny how technology, because I feel like this before the pandemic, like when the Vine era to the Periscope era to like now we're like still in like this post TikTok ban America, like, and figuring out these spaces versus like this space, and somehow Instagram is still trying to like shove so much more into us, and we're like, what are you doing? I don't know why I need this. Yeah, exactly. And fighting the algorithm, like something that I think for someone like you who has been a part of so many like tentpole moments as the internet entertainment technology has advanced, gosh, that's so, I admire your spirit. Like being able to like work through and make those things happen, forge these connections to now meet the people who are so significant, because now you and Tori and the Tories have been together for how long? Is it all three of you are on Table Runners, and then how did you get the rest of the crew?
One of them, who I love so dearly, Tori Bagsy, is New York based.
Gotcha.
So she comes and does things when she's in town. She's actually coming soon. She's still mostly musical theater, so when she comes to town, we're actually doing a couple of videos.
We all have our vices. I get it.
But I she's so involved in it, in that she's like the first person we call when anything happens big.
Gotcha.
Like the three of us, we just did a Disney cruise because she's working on the Disney boat right now on the main stage. So we both just went for in between two of our birthdays, so the three of us could go and be together. And yeah, they're both still very important to my life. And Tori Hatcher lives out here now. So, which you guys know, because she's done a bunch of sketch events and Table Runners.
One of our favorite models. We obviously keep Tori on the top of our list whenever we need a tiefling so far. Yeah.
Anytime Tori can be painted another color, they're there.
That seems to be Tori's niche for us, at least. It's like, okay, do you have a different set of horns? Show up in 3 months.
Yes. But yeah, once Tori Bagsy actually came out here and lived with me for a full summer, and we were cosplaying like every other weekend or doing like stupid theater events, and just, it was all good fun.
When you say stupid theater events, I don't want to alienate. Please enlighten. What were those events?
Like we did like any immersive shows we could go. We've seen the Pirate Dinner Theater like 8 times.
Wow.
Anything that we could just go and like experience live entertainment again, especially after lockdown, like we would go.
That's amazing.
And then Tori Hatcher, right at the end of that summer, came and lived with me for a few weeks, so we were all three together until they started school back up in LA. They were doing their last year in California. So it worked out quite nicely that we were all three here. And then the Agassi story is crazy because then she was supposed to go home, but she was still here because she got on America's Got Talent. So she was here for a couple months longer to do America's Got Talent, and then officially moved to New York, which was great. That was a big thing for her, was moving to New York.
Been there, done it, love it.
Yeah.
Well,
now she's on the Disney boat, so.
Oh, well, okay. Then she understands the struggle of finding a good bagel when you're outside of the boroughs. I understand
she
that.
brought a whole thing of Liberty Bagels with her.
Oh, she prefers Liberty Bagels?
She likes the rainbow ones.
I mean, that's understandable. Yeah. They make them good there. We're a Brooklyn bagel household, which is ironic because there's not a single Brooklyn bagel in Brooklyn.
My dad chipped a tooth on a Brooklyn bagel, and I'm not allowed to have them.
I would want to ask which shop he went to, because I will say Servio from 35th Street has always been kind to us. Love you, Servio. And I, to this day, still think that the pumpernickel everything, while it might be a chewing hazard, is still the best bagel man has ever been blessed with.
I do have to defend and say they do have a Brooklyn bagel in Brooklyn.
They do have a Brooklyn bagel in Brooklyn. Our producer has informed me there is one in Brooklyn. This is breaking news for me, having lived there for 15 years. Where in Brooklyn?
It's being researched.
Oh,
it's being
I see.
Researched.
This is live research. We're gonna find out where this bagel is in Brooklyn, and I'm sorry,
are we
Brooklyn
going
Bagel.
right now?
I mean, look, they ship internationally. I'll put it under here. Brooklyn Bagels. You can get an order.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Just love you guys. If you want to, I'll give you the ad space. But okay, while Jen's giving us precious bagel facts, so that I'm not speaking out of my ass this time. So we've gone from
complete loneliness to now having my two best friends in the entire world.
And when does Table Runners come into the picture? Because I want to talk about this current Tell me, because I see what you guys do on Table Runners.
Oh, sorry, I'm full of shit. There's not one in Brooklyn.
I knew it. I knew it. For all of you
There's
shaking
one in
your head.
Westchester, though.
Why Westchester?
Nobody knows.
Okay, the New Yorker in me's coming.
There's one in Astoria, Ditmars, Astoria, Broadway, and Astoria, 30th Avenue in Queens.
To be clear, two of those are literally 1 block away from each other.
I mean, one avenue. But
okay, for those who don't know the difference between an avenue and a block, it's one stretch of buildings.
Two of them are in Astoria, one of them is Long Island City.
We're not going to talk about the Postal Service's message. The Postal Service does a lot right.
11105, 11106.
Shout out to our old zip code. That said, sorry.
No, I'll get Table Runners.
Please, yes, sorry.
Sorry.
Bagels are our love language in this
very
house.
Very important bagel facts.
Yeah, please. So current era, we are getting to Table Runners.
Yes.
How does that happen?
With the creativity suck that was the last job I was doing, while that was all going on, I was still posting. I ended up downloading every TikTok I'd ever made, and I've still been making cosplay TikToks at that point, and now with them in town, and we just do groups and shoots, and it's always been fun. And I just started putting them on YouTube Shorts just to have another home for them.
Right.
So I have a channel that had 100,000 subscribers that we just weren't using for long form content or anything except for my fun side TikToks.
How many people would love to have 100,000 subscribers?
And
for this is just my side. This is just my side storage. This is just where I put things that have collected dust.
I got very lucky that one TikTok right at the beginning went very viral.
Okay.
And that just kind of helped float the channel a little bit.
Hey, good for you, girl.
But they stayed, so.
That's important. I mean, look, being, whether it's your community in your real life that is able to touch your heart, or whether it's the community that is your audience that recognizes your talent, it's great that they can still say, you know what, I don't care if she doesn't post regularly or if it's necessarily the content.
One video.
But they clearly knew you from something that you have done, the impression that you have left, the beacon that you are for so many people. And I think there's something, without it being that sense of entertainment or Hollywood validating. There must be something that feels good to have known, okay, I could put this here and it's obviously resonating for folks, and for it to come into the rest of this story. Please continue.
Yeah, I think it really is just that we're having fun with it, and we're just making silly videos that we think are fun and silly.
That's so important, though.
Yeah, and that's all it really is. And I still love making. We just had a friend in town this week, and we did 3 cosplay shoots.
That's amazing.
And now I'm scheduled on YouTube until August, which is great.
Well, hey, I mean, if there's a way that you can find to spend time with people you love, do something that brings you joy, dress. I mean, we haven't talked about our mutual friends Bree and Chris at Dress Up Studios, but one of the things that I have learned from seeing them and their business grow as they've been able to support and join us when we do our live events is beautiful to see a space that exists for people who may not have access, who may not have like a wardrobe to play with, who can rediscover the joy of play and dressing up, especially whether they're a child or a child at heart, and whether or not that's something they haven't even given themselves access to. And I think for cosplayers, the thing that I recognize as a person who is like, I see all of that work, I'm already exhausted by it, I'm grateful that they have that outlet for it, and that folks like you can celebrate that with an audience that really connects to that. That's valuable. That's incredibly valuable for having a community online and a community in your life, and for it to be able to sustain you and keep you afloat. I mean, kudos to you, sister. A lot of people would say that's a dream.
It was definitely elevated when Tori Renee Hatcher moved out here, because they are the crafter. They're the one that they can make an entire cosplay in a night, and it is insane to me. I have filmed it and I still don't believe it. We did a video for a video game recently that we both just love, and happened to have really cool video game characters, and they were like, make a cosplay, and Tori was like, give me a day, and she made an entire like barred butterfly doublet outfit in one night, and they amaze me with that. It's insane.
You'll have to send us the link to that video so we can put it either share it as bonus footage or make sure it's put out to our people, because I've seen, from my years working stagecraft, I've seen amazing artists do insane and sometimes harmful things to themselves to like make those like last minute fixes, those overnight like creations. And for them, it was much like your second act. It was much like servicing other people, or to like prove a point in their mind to like get accepted or get recognized for maybe the wrong reasons. And I will say, having benefited from seeing Tori's work, especially on our stages, I'm glad that Tori is able to do that for herself. But were I a younger man, I don't know if I could put in that kind of time. That's incredible. So, okay, so you've got yourself these cosplayers. You're surrounded by the people you are meant to be with. You are surrounded by people who obviously care about you, the person, who recognize you as the producer, the creative, people who give you space to also cosplay and like foster that. When does Table Runners come into play? When does that start to manifest?
Almost. Okay. So pretty much by being out here with Tori and Tori, we started to find, you know, like-minded people like you do. It kind of felt like moving out here again for the first time, where I wasn't doing it for all these other people, or only being connected through projects that maybe weren't the healthiest, stuff like that. Even though, again, I love my Lightworkers and Bernie family so much, but like they were like work friends and family still. So with Tori and Tori, like we met other cosplayers, other people in the Disney community, other people who were creating. One of my now like best friends, Mark, who is our editor and camera guy on everything we do. We met him through doing content and Disney stuff, and we just started to like finally find a group, and Tori and our friend Maria, who is about to come up with Table Runners, became very close, and they started doing their own dance community theater, and that grew more people and more creatives and more friends who maybe weren't the kindest to me in the past, or were friends with me for the wrong reason, have kind of come back into my life in much healthier ways, and now we were finally finding ourselves in this place where we had a community again. And it was Thanksgiving, and I had like 30 people over. Okay. I do like a potluck Thanksgiving thing for those who like are still in town. We had a ton of people over, or it's like a night or two before for like a Friendsgiving. And my friend Mark and some of his roommates were like, you have this YouTube channel that's sitting there doing nothing. Why were we creating content for somebody else when we could just be doing it like with you? And so we thought on that for a couple days, and then Thanksgiving, they happened to still be in town, so they came back over and we ordered a ton of Chinese food.
A proper Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was a very Jewish Thanksgiving, as we kept calling it.
I said proper, but it's yours to classify.
And we were like, are you guys like actually serious about doing this? And we, in that night, kind of beat out what that would look like, what a posting schedule might be, like what kind of content we all wanted to make. But we knew from the start we didn't want to do it alone. Yeah. So Maria, Tori, Brooke, and myself kind of were like, okay, the four of us are going to be like the main hosts of this. And then Mark and his two roommates were like, okay, and we're going to help do the gear side of it. So Mark and I do all of the like producing and shooting and editing ourselves. Brooke, who's Brooke Eiler, is our dungeon master for our bi-weekly D&D show, because that was one of the things we wanted to make sure we did was like a community, like actual play, like let's just like hang out and play D&D.
Right.
And then Tori, Renee Hatcher, and then Maria Puig are other creatives. They both play in the bi-weekly, and then Tori and I do all of the like opposite week content.
Okay.
And Maria's involved in a lot of that as well, and so is Brooke. We drag them along whenever we can. But Brooke came to me because of Artificial. She was cast in one of the like
That's
later
right, we
seasons.
talked about that.
Yeah, she was cast in one of the later seasons, and she lived all the way in San Diego. So a couple of the nights it was a live show, like once a week. So she would just crash at my place, and we became really close. And she kept talking about Dungeons and Dragons in front of Tori too much, and Tori was like, "I really want to learn to play Dungeons and Dragons." So I got dragged into it.
Yeah.
It was never my choice.
Yeah.
But because of that, like that also formed a community because now we had a party,
Yes.
which was great.
Yeah.
And we played our home game for like 2 years, and then now our home game is public, which is crazy because
You're opening a whole new side of yourself
Yeah.
to your audience at that point.
this is not a plug, but we do have like a Patreon only Discord, and we were literally messaging them today because it is so funny that like stupid things I said to my friends while pretending to be another character is being talked about by like a group of people I've never met in person.
And that's the parasocial paradigm that we've all come to like understand
Yeah.
about being this side of millennial. And like there's so much of yourself. There's yourself that's also on camera. And then to find a way to like edge those things together and then see how the wider audience, community, patrons, whatever
Yeah.
you call them, nesties. I think it's really funny to like see yourself through that lens.
And God, I love that Patreon only Discord. The theories they come up with, I think they have figured more out than I have, and I know more than them.
When you say theories,
Yeah, they just like, they call out Brooke. It's so funny because Brooke will like fully defend things. They'll be like, "Hey Brooke, you don't have to answer this, but it's A, B, and C." And Brooke will be like, to me, I'll get a text that's just like, "Fuck." And then in the Discord, she'll just respond, "I don't know, maybe." And I'm like, oh, these kids are so smart, and they're figuring out the whole plot. They figured out my like character's plot twist before I thought it was obvious. Like they're
I
so.
really thought you were about to say before I even knew what I was doing, which I would also believe.
I don't know what I'm doing still.
Oh, calm down.
But like that community that's forming in there is also just so fun. And like Tori, if they could, would talk about D&D 24/7, and now she has people that they like can talk to about D&D 24/7.
That's good.
I keep gesturing to like my phone in the corner.
Yes, because that's where they
That is
are.
where they
that's
live.
where everyone is. I think we can all relate to that. As I look to my producer to find out if that bagel shop is in Brooklyn. That's such a beautiful journey. I think to kind of like go through the 3 acts of your community and the ups and the downs of it. One, game recognized game, because I think there's so many people who have struggled to like find their place, find their sense of security, find their sense of self.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard when you're an island and you're also a creative. But I think what's so unique and so special about you, Jessi, is that even your mother could see your Wendy. And even and I think as much as that was I don't like to say watershed, but like kind of like a wake-up call or a recognizing
Premonition.
yeah, but also like
Yeah.
recognizing your power as a creative, as a producer, as however you choose to label what that is for you, being able to like lift up other people from such a young age to even still a young age, but after so much work in all of these unique spaces that are, you know, television adjacent, new media, forward thinking, and now like in this current era of content creation, but also like your people, like the people who are your friends after having gone through that, the people who are this chosen family that you have made for yourself, that you have been able to, for a better word, like craft with like a better informed decision. I think that's amazing. I think that's something that I'm really grateful for you sharing with us today. And it means the world and hopefully our community everywhere can try to like see all the things that you're doing. So before we wrap up, tell everyone, where can they find you? Where do you like to be found? Is there anything, this will probably come out in I want to say like late July, early August. So if there's anything in your timetable that you want to like put in their minds, please tell our audience what can they do.
You can catch Still Hearth, which is our bi-weekly actual play, on Table Runners official YouTube. You can find me personally at that Jessi Wills on Instagram. I'm Jessi Wills on TikTok. And any of those will bring you to all of the other ones if you check the link in my bio.
Always go to the link in the bio.
Yeah, but Still Hearth is bi-weekly, DM'd by Brooke Eiler, played by Tori Renee Hatcher, Jessi Wills, Maria Puig, and a slew of random guests. So
all very lovely. We what was the one that we took in? It was the Dread game, I think.
We do play a lot of. We made up our own kind of iteration of Dread where it's elimination style.
I love that.
It's so fun. We're planning a bunch of them. It won't be out by the time this happens. It might be on Patreon only. We're doing like 6 games and leaving them on Patreon until we need like natural Still Hearth breaks, and then they'll be put onto the main page, but we're doing a bunch.
Having learned more about you as a film school kid, I definitely see the inspiration in the one that we saw with was it a slumber party or was it a sorority party?
It was like the sorority graduation slumber party, and I wouldn't really know much about that one. I died in 10 minutes. It was an epic appearance of you, and then an immediate bow. End.
It was so. I was like, oh, this is this game. I thought that was so fun. So yeah, everyone, please make sure to follow, support, give a shout out to Jess and Jessi, and tell her how great a job she did today with us. And Jessi, from all of us, thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your journey.
Thank you for having me. That was a lot. I'm afraid of being myself on camera, so.
well, thank you for being yourself with us. And guys, gals, non-blind pals, I've been Sketch Williams. You can follow us at Nest of Friends on all the places. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast for the premium content on nestoffriends.substack.com. And if you ever get lost, you can always head to nestoffriends.org. We've got our lovely programming for all of our live events. See what we've got going on right now. Buy some tickets. And look, if you can't come to a show, you can always make a tax-deductible donation to help support our community and fostering more communities just like the ones that Jessi's doing. So please, please, please support in all the ways. And at the very least, share, like, and leave a supportive comment. Let us know what you thought of this episode. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Guest of Friends was created and produced by Jennifer Martina and Sketch Williams, hosted by Sketch Williams, featuring music composed by Libby Ward with lyrics and vocals provided by Jennifer Martina. Cover art for Guest of Friends was created by Mitra Katsuyoshi. Guest of Friends is brought to you by Nest of Friends. Our mission as Nesties is to provide the kind of third space our world deserves through creativity, with community, with craft and care. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and everywhere you're experiencing this podcast so that more people can discover it and help create a better world. One act of creativity.
Join Best of Friends as we just like friends, become best of friends on Guest of Friends.